I love building model kits. There's something so satisfying about snipping the parts off the sprue, bending photo etch, and texturizing armor. And while I'm not as skilled at it, painting, shading, and weathering the vehicle imparts life to it and allows the modeler to tell a story through the model they spent so much time on. However, there is one section of the modeling process that I cannot stand, and that's detail painting. Tanks, especially modern tanks, have tons of components that aren't the same color as the base vehicle. Plastic, rubber, and wood are common materials that we see on vehicles, and it's important to paint these components to the same level of quality as the rest of the tank. Today we'll be going over the techniques I like to use for this process and finishing out this project once and for all. For the T-14, gray is going to be our best friend. There really aren't any Pioneer tools or anything wooden on the tank, and so we don't need to worry about painting wood textures. If you do want to watch a tutorial on painting wood texture, check out my last project where I paint the Pioneer tools on the striker and also add polarized lenses to the periscopes. After you watch this video, of course. I'm not sure whether these pipes are supposed to be gray, but in some color profiles I've seen, like on the trumpeter kit, they decided to have them gray, so that's what I chose. I like to use Vallejo model color for all my brush painting as I find it generally lies smooth and has a really nice finish. To make it flow a bit better, I use AK acrylic drying retarder. We can use the same colors for the remaining gray details, like these sensor panels on the turret, grenade launchers, and MG barrel. We'll also use a bit of stretched sprue for an antenna, which we'll also paint gray. Now, gray paint by itself isn't going to look very good, so we're going to supplement the paint with some oils. For these pipes, presumably fuel lines, we're going to add some burnt umber oils to make them look really greasy and dirty. I focused this around the brackets since this is where the majority of dirt would accumulate. This could then be smoothly blended with a brush and some Q-tips. For the steel parts that would rust, like the towing cables, we'll use burnt sienna oils to add a rusty patina to the surface. For the optics, I opted for a thin glaze of Prussian blue to add depth, and for the rubber sensors I used black, just to add a simple gradient to their surfaces. Black was also used for the stains on the MG barrel. After that, we can finish the lenses on the optics with some clear gloss varnish. Next up, I received some feedback that the upper hull wasn't dirty enough for a deployed vehicle, so we're going to remedy that. I'm going to start with some organic plant matter, simulating kicked up grass and sticks with some teabag contents. You can also use static grass or grass from sea balls as an alternative, but I find this to be a really cheap and effective solution. We can then bolster that organic material with some blended leaf litter and sifted dirt. This gives the debris on the upper surfaces a natural and texturally balanced look. We can then fix everything in place with a few drops of VMS ballast freeze. To paint these debris deposits, I'm going to start by painting all the bricks a rusty red. This is just Vallejo model color light rust with a little AK acrylic drying retarder. I'll follow that up with white oil paint to simulate mortar dust. I just gave them all a general coating of the oil paint and then randomly blended it away to give an uneven, irregular surface look. For the main dust effect color on the debris, we're going to be using what's left of my Wild Earth's Aqualine gouache paint. It has a really nice color, blends with water, and has a super fine pigment dense and smoothly blended appearance. We'll also add small deposits around edges and panel lines to homogenize the effect over the entire hull. I like to blend these effects out with a mostly dry brush and then potentially finish it out with a Q-tip or something like that. This effect can take a long time to get 100% right, and for me, dust effects are one of the most involved effects I do for a model tank. Now while I finish blending this out, I just want to take this opportunity to plug the channel real quick. We just passed 4,000 subs, and I'm so thankful for all of you awesome people who've supported me this far. Next on the channel, I plan on taking a small detour into model planes, but trust me, tanks will be back soon, and I just want to take a little break from cast texture and welds and experiment with little polished aluminum and rivet lines. As I record this, I almost have our first plane done, with another really neat one on the way. We'll dive into German armor after that, and maybe a helicopter. You guys post down in the comments what you all think and what you want to see, and be sure to subscribe and tell your friends about the channel so we can keep growing and I can keep supplying you all with awesome content. Finally, if you want to see some behind the scenes content and maybe some cool rewards and discounts on my 3D files and more, check out the link below and consider joining my Patreon. Anyways, let's finish this tank. When I'd originally bought this kit, I also got some photo etch pre-printed headlights and marking lights for it. The red marking lights worked great, but I had to paint over the headlights, and so we'll redo those by hand. As you can see, the marking lights go on super easy with just a small dot of super glue to avoid damaging the existing paint job. Finally, let's finish up the headlights. To start off, I'm going to add a layer of Molotow chrome paint. This stuff is absolutely amazing for headlights, goes on super easy, and has the best mirror finish I've ever seen. After that, I experimented a little by adding a thin wash of blue oil paint to the surface. This helps add depth around the LEDs and makes it look more realistic in my opinion. And I totally forgot to film the next part, but I added small yellow dots to the center of every LED and covered it with a layer of clear gloss varnish to finish it off. Finally, we can tack on the slat armor with a little super glue, and we're done. That is finally the end of this series. I am so happy with how the T-14 came out, and it only took about 2 years to get here. I think the next tank build, I'm going to go for something smaller, not focus so much on the build of the vehicle, but much more the weathering process, since I think that's the biggest thing I'd like to improve on. However, in between we're going to do a couple planes, and if you guys stick around, some cool discounts in the next few videos. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything new. As always, huge thank you to my Patreons, you guys are absolutely amazing. If you want to help support the channel with some more cool rewards to boot, check out the link in the description below. Thanks again for watching all the way to the end, and we'll see you next time.